Don't let me
Hey YouTube, and what is up? Tronic MC here, and we are back for another YouTube video here on my YouTube channel. So today, guys, I decided I would start a completely new series that is far from my current channel, I guess I should say, which is currently in the game categorization, and there's a little bit of educational and stuff like that. But this is straight educational. But the way that I think of this, well, first of all, this is a theory series where I base certain theories of mine off of both sci-fi and real-life science. So I guess today we're going to start off with a theory that initially comes from Back to the Future. Now, for those of you who've seen Back to the Future, you guys know what I'm talking about. For those of you who don't, though, it is basically, essentially, it's time travel. It goes into the theory in depth about time travel using a modified car developed by Doc Brown and main protagonist, I forgot his name, but anyway, it's been a while since I've seen the movie, so please don't say, hey, noob, get off here. No, okay, so what I want to say, first of all, is my theory is actually that the Back to the Future type of time travel is possible, and I'm basing this evidence off of both Star Trek and Back to the Future. Not so much Doctor Who, even though Doctor Who does focus a lot on time travel. That is not what I'm going to go into. I will get into theories that involve Doctor Who and Star Trek. I will get into theories that involve various different things. Now, my theory today for the time travel thing is that the flux capacitor, which those of you know what I'm talking about, you guys have seen this before. Those of you who don't, please go watch the movie. It's on Netflix, the whole franchise, whatever, the whole series. Anyway, the flux capacitor, my theory is that the flux capacitor actually generates a field of some sort that is capable of, well, when reacting with particles within an atmosphere or in general at a certain velocity, it enables them to slip out of this current time existence and into another time existence. Now, what I mean by time existence is basically just a different measurement in time, and I will get into another theory of that in the future as well. But when they slip out, they move into a different time period. It's because of the fact that the field that the flux capacitor is generating is reacting with the particles within the atmosphere, or in general, it's reacting with particles that theoretically mess with the time-space continuum. I guess that's the best way I can put it. It's similar to the warp field theories. However, this is a time warp field. It's basically what it is. Now, the idea that gives me a leap into, shall I say, the idea that it's a field. Well, this idea comes from the Back to the Future films directly, actually. The theory comes from when the DeLorean is about to time travel, when it's getting up to 85, 86, whatever it is, when you first start to see the particle effects. If you watch and look closely, you will notice that the particle effects actually don't touch the DeLorean. They're just ever so slightly off the edge of the DeLorean, which gives me the thought it's most likely a field. Now, the thought of it reacting with particles at certain velocities, the velocity part I will get into in just a second, it's more of, okay, the 80 miles per hour, that makes a lot of sense within an earthbound atmosphere. A lower velocity is what it will take to react with the particles in just the right way. Now, let's say you're in, say, outer space. You need a higher density or a higher speed, one of the two. As long as there's particles in general, you should be able to still be able to react with it, but it depends on the speed you move. So let's go to Star Trek. I don't remember the exact movie off the top of my head, but it's when Kirk and crew, or Kirk and friends, I should say, Captain James T. Kirk, you know, they use a Klingon vessel. I forget the type of ship, but use a Klingon vessel to go back in time to try to obtain a humpback whale. They slingshot around the sun or something like that. I don't know exactly how that goes, but if you notice, if you hear him speak, or hear Spock actually says, I'm putting in the formula now. The formula, my assumption is that it's a formula to modify the warp field to become the same type of field to time warp, which is essentially what you do in Back to the Future. You're time warping. So with that thought, he has to slingshot around the sun for higher velocity because he does not have enough particles, or maybe the other thought that I had was slingshot around the sun came in with close proximity to the sun because of the fact there's a higher density of particles. That was one theory I had, but then the other theory for that was he slingshot around it at, let's say, warp velocity 2, which nearly tore the ship apart. But when he finished slingshotting around the sun, they achieved a high enough velocity to time warp back to a time actually before current day, back in 1900s or whatever. I don't remember, like late 1900s, which is just for 2000s, of course. But yeah, my theory is that with that information, if you can create the field, the warp field by itself, and then modify it to not warp space but warp time itself, theoretically, yes, I said theoretically, this is all theory. Theoretically, you could warp through time itself, which, by the way, just a heads up, for that theory, I based that time itself is not really more of its own thing. It's more just a measurement, a way of making things easier for us to comprehend the movements of space. I will get into a theory of that next time. In fact, next time we're back on here, next episode, I will discuss my theory and my evidence that supports it. If this just so happens to be the first ever YouTube video of mine that you're watching, please go down there, click that red button that says subscribe. If you like this video, please go click that thumbs up. A like is always appreciated, and very much liked. No pun intended. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, or you guys just want to say, hey, that's a pretty darn good theory, put that down in the comment section down below. Or if you're on tablet like RCA, to the right and scroll. Or if you're on the computer, it's down there. Anyway, guys, thanks again for watching. Hope to see you all next time, and goodbye! Peace out.